Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. We have a late start today, but that's how I take time back from the man. The man being myself, I guess. I don't know. What I do know is this is Digital Iliad. The show where we work on an FTL-like isometric 2D game where I consistently forget to turn on my lights. There we go. That's maybe too much light. Oh god, that's even more. There we go. How's it going, everybody? Hey, Darren Ash. How's it going? Happy Saturday. It is hot here where I am. It's not objectively hot, but it's like unseasonably warm. And that's good enough. That qualifies in my mind. Hey, Rhiannon Journey. Yeah, flashbang, sorry. I always forget to turn my lights on. How's it going? All right. For any new tubers here, we are working on our isometric 2D FTL like starship management game. We've been working on a cutaway system that lets us peer into these ships. I would like to finalize how I want that to work today. I think we're mostly there. Honestly, I think the thing I have to do is the scroll, the cursor mapping scroll stuff. I've been hacking that, and I need to like actually do it correctly. Rhiannon, it hit 64 today. You were too warm on your dog walk. Yeah, that's about what it is outside. I think it's warmer than that. It says it's 61, but I swear it was like 65 or 66 or something. It was definitely higher than that. I just got back in. And you know what? When you're not expecting it, that's rough. It's also 74 degrees in my apartment. Which is not great. I'll open some windows after this. Well, fine. We'll sweat it out for a few hours. I'm not wearing my trademark black sweatshirt. I'm like wearing a t-shirt on stream, which is crazy. Sure, the lights don't help. I joke about my lights, but they're like literally on the lowest possible setting most of the time. Like this is 3% of maximum what I've currently got. Like I think I'm getting as much lighting from my monitor as I am getting from the lights. It's the green screen. It like darkens the whole area around me. All right. So cutaways. Cutaway, cutaway. All right, so if we make a little space and we cut out, the thing I can't really do right now is like any kind of cutting away from inside a solid shape. For some reason that doesn't work really easily, and I think it has to do with the logic of the cutaway. It's because the eraser doesn't actually work where on the same, like here you can see when I'm placing a block, it juts out from the wall that we're placing against, which makes sense. But if I switch to an eraser, it's like carving out from in the wall. And so the cutaway system just won't show this. I don't know if I care about that right now, but it's something to note. Duly noted. I don't know why I'm yelling. I'm like the only one here. Not talking over anyone. I had a lot of coffee. That's probably it. I had many cups of coffee at my breakfast. That's probably what it is. Coffee stream, I know. I don't have any coffee on me. And by that, I mean I don't have a hot cup of coffee next to me. I just have water. But I swear I had like 3 or 4 cups of coffee. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I want to do is I want the cursor mapping system to actually respect the cutaway so that as I go down this wall, we can keep going. That's not what happens right now because it's using the absolute, like it's using this version to cast against, not this version. So I also want to do that probably today. I'm gonna make multiple levels of rooms here. Rhiannon, do you ever end up diagramming the cutaway stuff or you wing it? I decided it was better to just wing it. I did diagram it. The diagram is terrible. It would have been really hard to diagram it correctly. I figured it was easier to just actually get the behavior that I wanted and test it. And we did. We ended up with this. And this is pretty much what I would have diagrammed anyway. The only issue is this. What do we do when we're in a wall? Which is a side effect of I'm manually controlling the Z level. So I kind of need to change how that works. Because we made a big change yesterday where we like no longer in walls no longer know what rooms they partition out, which is fine. Because we don't allow double thick walls. I mean, technically there is no one enforcing this rule right now, but that's definitely a limitation that I've decided is important. Yeah, this is all right. We're reasonably happy with this. And the way this works, we also cut away like individual things in here. So like when we do a cutaway of this room, this pillar remains. You notice the upper part of the pillar is gone. But the lower part here remains unless I move the cursor behind it. And by cursor, I mean the block, because again, I'm hacking. I'm kind of hacking the inputs here right now. Yeah, I'm reasonably pleased with this. The auto tiler is struggling somewhat mightily here. That's another thing to work on. You're confused regarding what we're looking at. Yeah, no worries. This is a solid block. So this is like a gray boxed like ship or something. Obviously there's no character here. Like to it, it's just a gray box. And I've carved out these compartments. And so what we have is we have a visibility system. I call it a cutaway system that lets us, because this is 3D space being rendered in isometric 2D. So this is a 2D render. And so we have to be able to, you know, see into the ship, and this is the system that lets us do that. Don't follow my cursor with your eyes. Follow the block that I'm like offsetting from my cursor, like this thing. That's just a hack for the input system right now that lets me like peer into this space, but the block is like a character. The block represents where the cursor, where you're building in this editor. But when I fix it, eventually I would like you to be able to just scroll into the shape. I haven't set that up yet, but what I have set up is the ability when you're building something out to overwrite the Z level. That's what I'm doing. It's a Bernardian cube. That's funny. Hey, Arneo. So yeah, priorities are to get the actual scroll input. So I can scroll into this shape instead of having to like do this. That's a priority. That's the high priority. Another priority is to handle this case of the cursor is in a wall. That's another priority to handle. And then the lowest priority is to fix the auto tiler, I think. The auto tiler is omitting some outlines. It's not totally respecting the cutaway. So those are the three things. We got a few hours. I bet we could do all three. I say we go for it. Hope everyone's having a happy Saturday. Hey, sapphire colored flyby. I was worried I started too late and you wouldn't make it, and I would have cost you your stream streak. So it's nice to see you. It's nice to see your unique user ID color pop into the stream here. How's it going? How's everyone's Saturday going so far? I still have quite a bit of shoulder pain that I randomly acquired. Hey, Nix with the hydrate. Thanks, Nix. How's it going? Could be better, could be worse. You're still trying to figure out that black box stuff, the Project Zomboid stuff. Yeah, fair. Fair. All right, so what are we doing? I said I was going to fix the inputs, so let's do that. So we have our cursor mapping system. I only wrote this like a month ago, but I'm sure I already forgot how this works. So we have our clockwise spiral. We have our counterclockwise spiral. Our cursor block hit list. We have a few member variables, so we keep track of the W chord offset. Okay. Keep track of our Z level, and we keep track of some kind of Z level anchor. What that is either. Let's see what this does. What do we got going on here? So this works on the settled blocks. That's not exactly what I want. What I want to add is the block cuts for sure. Block cuts. But this has to be on the preview block. That's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to reconcile this. This is also a bit field. Not a bit field. This is a bitmap. Not bitmap. A bitmask 3D read-only. Shouldn't this also be a bitmask 3D read-only? It's weird that I can... It's kind of cool, actually, that I can access this as a buffer 2D read-only or as a bitmask 3D read-only. Like, it's like arbitrary. Kind of neat. Kind of like that flexibility. Not that I'd use it, but I kind of like it. Arneo, your Saturday's been sleepy. You need to start going outside again. Temperatures have gone above 0. You haven't been sick for like a week. It's a great time to go outside, I guess. We want this same. We want this safety. Excuse me. We want this safety thing. It's nice that the two cats aren't active. There aren't active hostilities between them. All right, I should probably switch this to a bitmask 3D. As much fun as this is. All right, so we get our buffers, our bitmasks, or whatever you want to call them. We get our bitmasks. We clear our cursor block hit list. This is like the hit list you would get back from like a raycast. That's the intention here. We go through, We get our raw cursor coordinates from the tile mapping, which is a vector 4 for some reason. Oh yeah, right. We pick a spiral pattern based on this coordinate. We spiral left or we spiral the right. Diagram time. So the way we do this is really simple. If we detect that the mouse is on the left-hand side of the grid, we go up, we record both the block that we're in and the vector to the next block. So you can tell you're like, okay, there's a block straight above us. The next block would be to our left here. And the next block after that would be to our right. And the next block after that would be above us. And then we repeat. And then same is true for the other side if the input's on the right-hand side of a given tile. That's kind of the only thing we use tile map layers for anymore is input mapping. All right. This is the last week before Down to Jam. We have to remember to vote for e2jam.com. We gotta vote for themes. Maybe we'll do that today at the end. When's theme voting open till? Oh, the jam literally until the jam starts. Yeah, we'll see how we feel. We'll see how productive we are. But yeah, there's a jam starting very soon. Hey, look, it's us. Crazy. But yeah, Down to Jam, the Community Center Game Jam, starting Friday, March 6th. Very happy. We gotta remember to go vote on some themes. Game Jam starts the 6th. The Raiden Period starts the 9th. Results on the 22nd. And then right after this jam, we roll straight into the Game Developer Conference, which I'm not doing a ton for, but ended up suggesting themes. No, I didn't. I never have ideas for Game Jam themes. All right, so what do we want to do here? We don't do get or default. We don't do it like this. We just say blockholes.has, and we say cursor coords. You could suggest the theme Iliad. That's not bad. Spelling Iliad with that many L's makes me think it's like ill, like it's the title of like a Beastie Boys album or something. That's funny. Darnash, you're not used to blocks being used to construct a scene. Why do your blocks have double lines on their upper parts? Don't that overlap with the other blocks when they're on top of each other? No, we very consciously moved away from that. I have a diagram for that too. Isn't that crazy? I should have a folder of just diagrams. It would be easier to find them. What is this called? Block overlaps or something like that? Here, let me search overlap. Not tall tile, overlapping blocks, this one. So we actually moved away from that. It actually used to be the case that yes, when you would combine multiple blocks together vertically, the outlines would overlap. The problem is, especially in this case, for the Z face, the problem is that means a tile is not sufficient. So like in this case, this tile, to render itself fully, it needs help from this tile. And so it means tiles have to like coordinate. When there's overlapping outlines, tiles need to coordinate with each other. And it's really tough. It's like this back to front or front to back thing where tiles in front become partially responsible to represent the tiles behind them. And that's rough. So we actually moved away from that to this, to just a full non-overlapping tile set. This way, each tile is fully capable of representing itself, which is nice. There's no overlap anymore, and the tiles are just totally self-sufficient. They don't need any help from their neighbor. They don't need to think about anything related to their neighbor. So yeah, we did change this, but it's a pretty big improvement. Thicker outlines, but I think it's generally fine. I have a diagram for that, Computer Mono. I wish. I don't actually do that many diagrams. I like that format, though. I like the then and now format. When I do a refactor, I should do stuff like that, at least if it's a visual refactor. Especially if I know it's going to take a long time. It's nice to be able to explain what we're doing. That makes sense, actually. So are blocks bigger than the space that they take in the grid? No. It's actually kind of weird. They aren't. And it has to do with their size. So if we look here. So this tile, if you look, is 32 by 7. But it's actually 32 by 8. There's a gap. There's a 1 pixel gap. Same thing here. So this is 16 by 11. But it's actually, the tile is actually 16 by 12. So there is a buffer empty row at the bottom of these, and it's partly what allows them to overlap like this, to tessellate correctly. It causes some weird effects, but in theory it causes a couple of weird effects, but in practice it's totally fine. Hey, Commander Apollo. Yeah, so the blocks are actually, the tiles are smaller visually than they are in tile placement, and we can kind of demonstrate that. Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to. I appreciate the questions. Appreciate the engagement. How's your weekend going, Apollo? I keep wanting to say Captain Apollo. But if we do this and we do something cheeky, like we manually... Actually, can I even do this anymore now that this isn't tile map layer based? Maybe I can't. No, I actually can't demonstrate this anymore. Okay, that's interesting. Pretty good. You're working on your on the Pi Game Winter Game Jam. Ooh, what do we got going on? Pi Game Winter Game Jam. High Game Community Winter Jam 2026. Ooh, this looks... I love this picture. Sorry for the flashbang. Super cute. Made some good progress today. That's great. Oh, this is a nice long one. Oh, it started yesterday. 2 weeks? 2-week game jam? Nice. That's nice. Ooh, Steam gift cards. This looks fun. Yeah, our Game Jam season is about to start in earnest. I'm actually kind of concerned about it. Yeah, we have a game jam starting Friday, the 6th. And then we definitely have another one in April, and we might have one in between then, depending on what solo development ends up doing. I would like a jam between Down to Jam and Ludum Dare. That's a little lower stress, but I'm concerned about doing 3 out of my out of like 4 or 5 jams that I'm going to do this year, all in like a month and a half. Concerned about that. All right, let's keep going through this. So if block holes has cursor chords, so it needs to be block holes has cursor chords and block, well, and block cuts and not block cuts dot has cursor chords. Then we can add. I don't love doing things this way. Maybe I'll just do it like that. Maybe we'll do it like this. Okay, so we're going to try to respect the cutaways. Is this how this is going to work? I can imagine some of this not... I can imagine something bad happening here. Because for one thing, the hulls... Oh, this might actually be okay. Commander, you spent the last 24 hours making an HTML-type text rendering system. It's pretty fancy. You got some Lua embedding in there, too. That sounds super fancy. Super fancy. That sounds really cool. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking about our cutaway system in the context of Lo-Fi Flyby, our, like, kind of FTL light. So I'm going to tell people we're making an FTL-like, which is all this stuff we're doing. And then within that, we have a little FTL light that we're also working on. That's like a subset of the FTL-like, and that's going to be Lo-Fi Flyby. That's going to be kind of our like little idle game. It's not going to exactly be an idle game, because I think people will get upset. But it'll be kind of like a low interactivity, kind of chill, kind of just hang out, potentially desktop companion style game. And I'm thinking there's some stuff we want to be able to do. Like, we almost want to be able to paint a cutaway. Like, we almost want to be able to manually tell the system, this is how we want the cutaway to work. Maybe. Maybe we don't actually want that, but I'm thinking for a small ship with a static view, maybe that's actually something we want. Like, the ability to paint the cutaway for the scene so that it's, like, hard-coded and not cursor-based. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Nix, you could set up a command to describe the game perfectly on what it's going to be. Same for what is FTL questions. That's a good idea. We have StreamerBot, and I don't use it for anything except the Discord shout out. It also doesn't talk to YouTube. I need to hook it up so that it also talks to the YouTube. But yeah, that's a good idea. I want to be able to trigger it from like just my Stream Deck, which I don't use, but have. And which needs a longer cable. All right, so this is changing this. All right, so we do this to build the hit list. Then... Actually, do we want to care about the cuts at this junction? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Okay, so we do this. We build the initial hit list. Is that right? Oh no, we add the initial coordinate here. That's what we're doing. We add a coordinate. And then what we do here, set the index to 0, and then as long as cursor chords plus the spiral pattern is equal to vector3i.min, cursor chords plus 5, block space maximum. Okay, so as long as we're within the maximum, We keep applying that spiral pattern, which is how we determine what face and block your cursor is on. Keep iterating with a wrap. And then here, we'll do the same thing. We'll say block hauls has and not block cuts, not has. This is going to be weird, the way this is initially implemented. If game.input, I need barriers. I need a few more barriers in terms of the way, like, guarantees I can make about data access, read-write data access for some of this stuff. I haven't done that very much. I've just done very basic, like, double buffering for, like, systems that run in background threads. That's about all I do. And honestly, maybe the system needs its own little buffer, so it can read in the data and then hold on to it, rather than having just like a double buffer. Maybe it's like a buffer per system or something. That might be overkill. All right, so we do this. We build our cursor block hit list. We're respecting the block cutaway, which means we should be able to peer past a cutaway. And then we want to do a couple other things. One, we need the scroll wheel to affect the depth of the cursor block hit list, like, scroll. Like, we need to keep track of that so I can scroll into the list. We need that. And then here we say, do we have Z-level control? If we do have Z-level control, we do this contrivance where we manually adjust the cursor coords. And here, this is where we don't necessarily need to respect the cutaway, but what we do need to do here is try to figure out what tile we're at, and then apply an actual cursor coords.w. Like, we need to redetermine. I need to think about this one a little more. Let's ignore this for now. Actually, this is pretty important, but let's see if we can get away with ignoring it for now. And then else if cursor block hit list.count is greater than 0, so we actually don't get here. Okay, and then I have this. W chord offset equals game.input.cursor chords.w switch 0, vector 2i.0. 1. Game.input.tilemapping.0 is less than, or .z is less than 0. We do vector y. Otherwise, we do vector 0. Game.input.tilemapping.z is less than 0. We do vector 2i.0. Otherwise, we do vector 2i.x. 3, we do vector 2i.xy. Super weird. I actually don't know what this does. This seems to work. Otherwise, if none of these are true, so if we don't have control and there isn't that, we just do this at the current Z level. Okay. What sets the Z level, though? Anyone else? No. Okay. Okay, well, we did something. All right, let's see what we did. I think this is going to look really weird because we're reading from two different buffers that have different, like, read-write assumptions about where... Like, the cutaway is updated every frame, but the settled block... The block hauls thing is only updated for the settled buffer whenever I lift the mouse. So, like, when I finish an input. So, like, these are preview changes. So it's previewing what it looks like if I actually commit to this change. But this change is not being fully registered until I, lift it. And now all of the other systems are calculating, like, What's the flood fill like? What's all the thing? Like, how does this change things now that we've committed to this? If we have an autosave, that's probably when the autosave would kick in. Oh, hey, this works. So if this didn't work, as soon as I go 1 point lower than here, it would remap my cursor to this wall. So like as I go down this, it would eventually jump here, but I think this is actually working. Like watch, I cut away past the wall and I actually, oh, that's so great. Because if I'm in front and I hit the wall, it goes up the wall. But if I'm behind the wall, it removes the wall and lets me mouse behind it. Ooh, it's not good when I get really close though. Okay, that's fine. So if I get within 1 pixel, it kind of fails. Oh, if I'm on the left side. That kind of makes sense. Because that's actually not being moused. That's not being cut away. Ooh. Okay, that's a tough edge case. So that's actually something we need to be able to do. Like, you have to be able to access the thing directly behind a wall. It's, like, not an option. I mean, we could cut away all the way to the wall. That would probably be strictly better in a lot of ways. The reason why I leave a little bit of wall is, 1, it feels more three-dimensional, and 2, it makes it very clear where the doors are, but maybe that's not necessary. Doesn't seem to work from behind. No, it does. It seems to be working. I don't know what I'm not quite sure what you mean. Oh, you mean the mouse cursor can't like fully go behind the... I can if I lock it and I do it manually. But that's not something you should really ever need to do. I guess for construction you might, but you'll have access to this manual offset thing, where I can basically overwrite the cursor mapping system and tell it where the mouse is or where the cursor is. But yeah. So a possibility here to fix this is that we actually that almost worked. And that kind of worked. That was weird. Okay. I see a problem here with the kind of jut out cutaway. What did we do? We crashed? Oh, because we had a weird coordinate. There's a safety check that we don't have somewhere, causing a very certain crash. That's a cool system for the game jam, Commander. I'm worried. I need to work better on my templates. I've got a couple of game jam templates now that I've made that I've used from game jams, from like code I've made for game jams. Like if we do another bare necessities style game, we'd have most of those systems just ready to go. Like if we wanted to do an isometric kind of point and click kind of strategy, isometric tactics or strategy game, we basically have the underlying systems for that already, which is neat. For at least having things walk around and being able to interact with things and pick stuff up, and like we have the rendering and simulation, like tile mapping stuff. And it's like, I need more of those. I need a lot more of those. I need like, the next one I want that I would love to have would be like some kind of dialogue or like a dialogue box manager or something. So I could do dialogue really easily, because I hate control nodes. But yeah, game jamming is a great way to develop like technical systems and actually test them out in the real world. Sometimes it can be a pain to generalize them back to your code base though, just because they were kind of like, at least for me, they're often very hastily put together. All right, so cursor chords.any equals blockspace.maximum return. What if I just got rid of this? All right, we're gonna try a flush cutaway. Cutaway interior blocks by bounding box. Interior equals room bounds. Exterior dot minimum dot x. Actually, why doesn't that already do what I expect it to do? It's a little weird. Interior is room bounds. All right, let's try this. I'm actually not gonna be. Oh, yeah, that's okay, there's actually a good reason why we offset this by 1. Now that I think about it. And it's so that we don't actually cut away the same very things that we're building. Because that would be disorienting. Like, we want to keep the lines that we're building along outside of the cutaway. So like if you're placing a wall, that wall shouldn't be getting cut away as you place it. That's weird. So yeah, we actually don't want that. So we need to find a different way to achieve the effect that we want. Okay. All right, we need to find out where this safety issue is. We're reading in a coordinate that's like way outside. This system should be taking that, absorbing it, and doing something about it. Okay, where is this happening? So right here, block halls has cursor chords. Oh. Read only dot has span rect get index. What does this return back? We actually need some kind of get or default implementation here. Is actually what we need. Like if we say has coords and this coords, the set of coordinates is outside of the bounds of what we could do, of what we can access, then we need to like return some kind of false value. So rect get index should do this. If this is less than minimum or chords is greater than maximum. Oh, we throw an error. That makes sense, actually. We could do a contains. We could say rect dot contains chords dot xy. If it does, we can do this. Otherwise, we'll just return false. How can I simplify this ternary expression? Oh, we could actually just return contains. I'm dumb. We could say return rect contains and this. Love it. So if this fails, this should never happen. That should fix it. Let's make sure the read-write version has the same safety. Arneo, time to browse Creative Commons licensed sound effects, you guess? Yeah, why not? There's a lot of them. You could also try those various effects generator things that people use in game jams. This has a has. Yeah, okay, we want the same thing. What's this called? Rect? Why is this publicly accessible? And this one's not. No reason. No reason, I guess. Hey, Felipe. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Hope you're having a fine Saturday. How's it going? Say rect.contains words.xy and as.z. So what happens if this coordinate is outside the bounds? Index, flags, and 1UL shifted. Oh, it would just shift to 0. Neat. Okay, so that's safe. Would just shift itself off of the bit field. Okay, okay. So I think this is safe for against for reads. For writes, this isn't safe. Which is fine. We'll just throw an error. If someone tries to write to a value that doesn't make sense. I like it if I can read out of bounds without an error and it just is like, forget about it. That doesn't always work. Like sometimes you would rather have it return like negative. Like for when you do a get index, it would be often better to say, I didn't find this, return -1, rather than just like hand wave it away and be like, I don't know. Like what we're doing is we're asking a bit mask if a value is set. And if you ask for somewhere outside the bit mask, it's just like, no, it's not. Which, yeah, in some cases would not be good. But in this case, that's great. That's like I like when you're writing to a pixel in a texture on a GPU. And if you write out of bounds, it like doesn't care. It's just like, whatever. Hey, Pheasant SC2. Thanks for beaming back up. 18 months, 1.5 years. That's crazy. You're also one of the few, the proud, the brave, the founder badge holders. Appreciate that. Means you'll never be able to see your sick sub badge, but you've got a good one. Appreciate you. I only know 2 or 3 people who have that founder badge. I don't know how many you get. I thought it was 10. I thought it was your first 10 subscribers or something like that. So, you're top 10 in my book. You wish you had one, Nix? Yeah, sorry. Rhiannon's looking good with their platinum subscriber badge, but you'll be there soon, Nix. Just wait. I've started adding more fun ones for 2 years on. We don't do the DI sub badge after 2 years. We switch to a different one. I'm tempted to make a 1.5 year badge, maybe. I don't know. You get 25? Really? You get 25 founders? That can't be true. Maybe there's also a time limit. Maybe there's like it's not like your first 25, it's like your first X number within Y period. Because that's the only other way that makes sense to me. Because believe it or not, I didn't have a lot of subscribers starting out. The time will fly, Nix. The time will fly. All right, what am I trying to fix? Oh, I'm trying to deal with a literal edge case here. Oh. We didn't build. Oh, did I not actually finish fixing this? Bitmask 3D read-write does not contain a definition for rect and no extension. Oh. Why are we trying to read this directly? That's weird. Where is that happening? The cutaway system? Cuts.rect.clamp. Oh. Huh. Cursor chords game. It should be enough to just say clamp. Yeah, we'll add a clamp function because apparently we use that. Public vector 2i, actually vector 3i clamp. We would send in a vector 3i coords, and we would return a new vector 3i. It would be rect.clamp coords.xy, and then what would the rest of this be? Int.min, it would be this, basically. Int.min, it doesn't need to be 64, though. It could be... Do we actually know what the length of our... Oh, we would just say AABB. Oh, wait, we have an AABB. And it's publicly available. Oh, hold on. I forgot. That's part of the reason we did this way, was so that even though this is under the hood, a buffer 2D, it's a bitmask 3D, so you can access it as if it's a 3D like volume, even though it's just a 2D like a 2D array of bit fields. So the way we would do this correctly then is we would say cuts.aabb.clamp XYZ. Well, we don't need to say XYZ, we could just say this. Parameter type int. Oh, well, we don't need to say new vector 3i. That's fine. We can just say cuts AAB clamp. It's kind of inconsistent with the rest of my naming convention, but who cares? Okay, are there any other errors in any files that you want to tell me about, Ryder? No? Cool. Cool. Tight. All right. We're going to do this again, and we're going to look at this edge case that's kind of annoying for us. Kind of a struggle here for us. Oh, window focus. There we go. So we cut this away. We're going to rebuild it. We'll just rebuild it with one wall because that's all we're really testing. We'll do this. No, we're going to do this. All right, so here's a wall. When we're on this side of the wall, cursor map knows that. If we cross over here, it knows that. If we go this way, the cutaway system is totally broken now all of a sudden for some reason. Okay. Why? What does this one do? Why doesn't this do a clamp as well? I feel like it should. Should add that clamp here. I wonder if it'd be worth having a write-only buffer. I guess that would help for our dependency management eventually, as we would know that we could use that in parallel. Because we don't read it, we just write to it. I'm really not looking forward to like any kind of serious like dependency management stuff. We're gonna head there. We're gonna get there eventually, especially if we start compute shader stuff again, against my better judgment. Next, apparently in VS Code, you can use your own locally run LLM model. That does sound less horrible than the alternative. But like, I couldn't do that. Because like, how much my GPU would that take? We're trying to stream. We're trying to... I mean, not that I would. I'm just like... How resource intensive is that? I could ask. I know some people who are doing stuff with local agents. Local agents and stuff. It still disgusts me, but... I'm having to at least be polite in public, you know? It's like life is a lot harder if you start your conversations with, you know, telling people how you really feel about stuff. All right, so why is this not working at all now? I'm thinking that the safe, quote-unquote, safety we introduced is giving us, like, false negatives or something somehow. Actually not quite sure how that's possible. So we say rect.contains cowords.xy and span rect.getIndex. Wait, why do we say rect.contains? We actually know we have a bounding box. So shouldn't we say AABB.contains cowords? Yeah, then we're doing a safety check for the whole thing. That's better. Actually, what are we even keeping this around for? I guess it's for the get index calls. All right, we're heading to the ads. Oh no, we're heading out of ads. Hey, Void Blit. We need more organically grown code. Yeah. Artisanal. We need more artisanal, organic, pesticide-free, homegrown code. Like, my code should have enough room to be able to turn around. That's so stupid. Keep breastfed code is better. Yeah, I love that. That's too funny. Sure, it's always not always sustainable. That's too funny. Free range code. Yeah, exactly. My code is free range. My code really is free range. It is all over the place. That's good. How's it going? How's it going, VoidBlit? Happy Saturday. Nix, you're running a small Qwen 3 coder model. It maxes out your 4090. Yeah, I'm running a 4080 Super. What, I'm supposed to do that and encode at 4K? Oh, are you saying it's much slower at running it through VS Code? Interesting. Rhiannon, your game be riddled with bugs. They're going to be organic? Yeah. Yeah, my code is fed with natural bugs. Bug fed code. All right. So the cutaway system doesn't work anymore. I made one change in the cutaway system and oh, the whole block placement doesn't work anymore. Jesus, what did I do? Please don't feed bugs to your code. Last thing you want is code that's hungry for blood. That's funny. All right, something I did here. No, it's not the cutaway. The whole sculpting system doesn't work anymore. Actually, it might even be the whole cursor mapping system. It's actually more likely that it's the mapping system that's failed. Because everyone else is dependent on that. So if the mapping system doesn't work, we got an issue. Block calls at switch ports and not. Okay. Else. What is going on? All right. Time to disable systems until we figure out where the problem is. When do we even run the cutaway system? We're not even running it in the right place. This is very hacky. Yeah, we run it here. That's crazy. Oh, we're running it in a task. That's insane. I mean, I guess that's not totally insane, but kind of crazy. Okay, so it's not the cutaway. It's the cursor mapping system, I think. Hey, Zao. Do I watch Survivor? No, I don't. I'm familiar with the show to the extent that it's like a cultural phenomenon from like decades ago. Definitely read about it in the context of like game theory and like treachery in like a game context. Survivor 50 is out? Wow. That's crazy. Rhiannon, you fixed your dodge code. You just need to grab the correct basis to determine which direction your character was moving. Your brain still hurts trying to reason about 3D space, though. I hate it so much, and it's part of the reason that I've just punted on fixing our camera rotation code. I hate thinking in 3D like that. Thinking about like matrices and base vector bases, and I hate it. I'm so bad. I have to watch a video every time I do anything related to that. I have to like watch 2 or 3 videos to remind me how that works. Voidblit, you had to unfollow all web development YouTube channels because they all talk only about AI and how awesome it is and nothing else. Ooh, that's horrible, Voidblit. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. We're also firmly in the era of like AI CEOs, like tech CEOs, just gaslighting us about it. And people are like, why haven't people actually seen practical, like, significant productivity increases with AI? And it's like, oh, well, adoption is not high enough. It's like, I'm not going to get on a whole AI rant. It's just crazy. We're like fully in the like gaslight era of AI adoption and usage, where they're like, oh, if people aren't adopting it, and if people hate it, and if people aren't actually finding good uses for it, it's their fault. It's like, okay. Okay. We just don't get it, man. They have to. They've invested trillions of dollars in it. All right, I'm not going to go into a whole rant about it. Believe me, I have more than a few rants prepared. Do I watch any reality TV? No. I watch Twitch streams. Does that count? I also really liked Top Gear back in the day, but that's one of those things where it's like, it's scripted, so is it reality? You tuned into a streamer who fully vibe codes. He says it's the future, and if you think software engineering is about typical code, you're an idiot. Yeah. More and more of the streamers that I enjoy watching are doing that, where they're just like, I set up Claude Code, and I have like a dozen little agents running around underneath me, and this is our stream now, and I'm like, I don't want to see that. And so I stopped watching. All right, why? I guess I know all of the code changes I made today because I actually did a good job and I committed yesterday, so I should actually be able to figure out what changes we made. So we changed hulls from a buffer to a bit mask. That shouldn't matter. Hey, Magoo, are you streaming on YouTube too? Yes. Yeah, we multi-stream to YouTube. Arneo, you're still hoping the craze is just like 3D was for movies? Kind of wishful thinking. I assume you mean 3D, like, you know, 3D glasses. Yeah. I assume you're not talking about Pixar, which has been around for a while. I'm obnoxious. I didn't know Jurassic Park was done with CGI predominantly. I watched that. I haven't watched it recently, but I really enjoyed it. And I think season 2 came out and I want to watch it. But that Light and Magic, the show about industrial light and magic. It's like, let's forget LLMs. Let's talk about ILMs. But I highly recommend that to anyone who has like Disney Plus. It's incredible to watch the history of ILM from like the first Star Wars through like, I think the first one ends, well, it kind of ends around the like early CG period, and then it jumps ahead to like Mandalorian because they had to, because they needed to include it. But I'm curious to see what season 2 is about. Unless I've already seen season 2 and I'm just mashing them up in my head. Let's go back to animated movies drawn on paper. Hell yeah. Yeah, traditional animation looks so good still. It's part of the reason why we do pixel art. Is I want to have a quote-unquote timeless final aesthetic. I don't want people to be like, oh, this was obviously made using Unity 2021 or however they call the Unity builds nowadays. Unity 5 or whatever. Or 6. Rhiannon, with your ADHD, you've got a dozen little clods going off the rails in your head all day as it is. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Magoo with the 30 stream streak. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. I don't know where I broke this. I'm going to be super honest. I'm struggling to understand where I broke this. I guess what we should do is we should just start debugging the cursor, the final game.input.cursor coords thing. Because something is being weird here. That Unreal 5 sheen. Yeah, exactly, Voidblit. This looks correct. Those coordinates streaming past look right. Well, they certainly look valid. So, what's the haps? There's an old handmade 2D animation, like an early animation from like the mid-century. There's a bunch of those, but like the ones that are like the OG like music videos, like the St. James Infirmary one. I think it's like from Betty Boop. It's St. James Infirmary. Yeah, it's St. James Infirmary. Or maybe it's Minnie the Moocher. Or maybe both of those have those. But yeah, some of those old animations look so good still. It looks like they made them to like yesterday. Hand-drawn animation is so cool. I say that once I get through my hand-drawn animation, I'm gonna not be happy. Hey, Rethberg. Hello, does Writer support Godot intelligence for GD scripts? It does for C#. There's pretty good support for C#, and JetBrains has actually become like a corporate sponsor of Godot. So it actually works for GD script too. Like I could go through here and I could, it's not in my solution, but if I like open up the rest of the file and I like go find the GD script, you can totally edit GD script in Writer. I don't personally. Where's the GD script? There's like literally any GD. Oh, here's one. And it's fine. Like, it's even doing the like Godot. Look at this. Like I have my own custom theme for my C#, but when I open a GD script file, it goes back to the Godot theme. I don't quite like how it looks. I kind of prefer doing my GD script editing in the editor, in like the Godot editor, but this has even gotten better since when I started using it, which is only like a year or two ago in terms of using Writer with Godot. But yeah, it's super great. I used to refuse to do GD script in here because I wanted to I liked the mental difference of like using GD script in the Godot engine, and it was easier for me to like contextually swap it in my mind. But this looks good enough and is enough of a visual difference now where I could probably actually just start doing it right in Writer, because it does give you some of those refactor features that you would love to have in the Godot editor that you only get in like a bigger IDE. But how's it going? Happy Saturday. Arneo, there was recordings of your subway trams in a public archive. Might be perfect for some sci-fi things. Oh, well, yeah, that would be really good, actually. That would be really great for like a traffic, like a sci-fi, like space trucker traffic kind of deal. It'd be really cool. Yeah, no worries. Welcome in. Thanks for hanging out. Go back to video games being made out of actual clay. Think about Harold Halibut. There's actually another one coming out soon. I don't remember what it's called, but there is another like claymation game coming up. But Harold Halibut is amazing, and it's like handmade, like with like photogrammetry and grammetry. I don't know how to say that word. But yeah, Harold Halibut is so good. It takes forever to do a game that way. I've never heard of Neverhood. But you know, they say never say never. The Neverhood. Oh. Old point and click. Yeah, there's some old OG claymation games. There's a fighting game too, isn't there? There's like an OG claymation fighting game. There's, yeah, you're talking about Armacrog? Yeah, it looks like they made a sequel in 2015. I mean, it kind of shows how long it takes to make one of these, because Neverhood came out in 1996 and Armacrog came out in 2015. All right. So yeah, I don't know where I've introduced this horrible error. I think it's with the has change that I made for the bit mask. Is this just not doing what I think it should be doing? This seems like it's safe. This seems like this shouldn't matter. So somewhere else there's a problem here. Where do I think it is? Block sculpting system, maybe? Is there like a synchronization problem? No, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, that's funny. We read these in as buffer 2Ds so that we can just copy the spans. I could actually change that. That actually doesn't make a ton of sense. That shouldn't actually have an impact on this. Chords is game.input to chords.xyz. Selection. Interaction. Chords is in erase mode, not erase mode. Continue. Where's like a hover? Else if placement active, reveal blocks, preview holes, replace blocks, preview holes. Yeah, block placement seems to have totally broken. It's weird. We're gonna return this to its unsafe version for now, just to see if that is where the problem is. It doesn't make sense why it would be here, but you know, you never know. You really don't. Hold on. Weird. We don't actually implement an equals. Not that we need to. Oh no, we do. We totally do. All right, let's see. Let's see if that safety feature we added actually just totally breaks everything. Yep, that's what it was. So why? Okay, interesting mystery here. All right, so somewhere. Okay, now the real question is it this one or the other one that's causing the problem? Okay, it looks like it's this one. So it's the read-only, it seems. Which makes sense, because if we're reading this, it's probably in a read-only. We don't read from the read-write as much as you would think. Okay, but they probably both have the same problem. So why does this fail when we add a safety catch? So we do a simple safety catch here where we say, okay, if AABB contains coords and span rect.getIndex coords.xy.has coords.z. So why does adding this AABB containment check contains AABB? Actually, we could just implement it like this, huh? There's 33 uses of this. I kind of don't want to find them all. It's crazy to me that this would cause a problem. But for 2D, rect.minimum bitfield. Oh, the minimum should not be 64. The minimum should be 0. What is wrong with me? Yeah, we had a bad bounding box. That's what the problem was. And we didn't notice it literally anywhere else until we started trying to do a containment check. Okay. Well, glad we figured that out. We'll add the safe. Well, we'll add the safe version back of both of these. We'll update this. We don't actually need to reference the bounding box. All right, we can turn the cutaway system back on. And now we do this. And we make a partition. And we cut it away. Okay, we can see behind this wall again. And interact behind the wall again, which is great. I really want to leave the little thresholds here, but it's causing a problem when we get close. Like, we can't actually get closer than this unless we're on the very outside. Which makes sense. There's actually no real way to deal with that, as far as I can tell. We can go through the front like this. So it's like, it kind of knows. If we try to go from the back like this, we can't actually get right up flush with the wall because it flips over to the other side. The only real way to deal with that is to actually sharpen the cutaway. I don't want to do that. So, like, look at if I make a wall like this, right? Like, right now, you can see the wall that you're laying down. If I change the cutaway rules to fix this one problem, you won't, it'll actually cut away the very walls that you're placing if you draw this way. Like, you won't actually be able to see what you're drawing, really. It'll be weird. I don't actually want that. But I also don't want this situation where you actually can't touch the tiles at the edge of a wall. I don't love that. What we could do is we could do some kind of thing where we like don't cut it away for like aesthetic reasons, but we add some kind of edge case where like you can, I don't want to do that either. All you can really do is overwrite the Z and like manually set your Z index. And if you do that, if you like get here and then manually set the Z index, I can get right up to the wall. Yeah, try some stuff. Let's try some stuff. Everyone's having a good weekend here. Waiting for the cutaway system to engage. It's not engaging for some reason. Oh, you know what's also not happening is we're not getting an interior. Why doesn't it think that this is sealed? Okay, the cutaway system seems to be slightly broken. At least the interior cutaway. Oh, is it done? Is it there now? Nope. I just realized that. I just realized we're not changing hull type based on interiority or whatever. We're also not doing any compartment-based cutaway. Why? Let's try to get cursor coords in room and room distance. So why is the interior cutaway not working? Arneo, as long as there's ways around it so you can build right up to the wall, you don't see that necessary to complicate the rules to add that edge case. I don't want to add an edge case either, but the thing is, if there's like a character in a corner, you need to be able to get to them without doing like a weird input trick. And the problem is if the cursor mapping system can't tell and keeps bouncing you to the wall in front of that character, that's a problem. And the way the cursor mapping system works, that's how it will happen. So I'm tempted to trim the cutaway further, like all the way down to the floor. We'll have to figure out some design things to help people visualize like what's there. I really like rendering the threshold, but it does add a lot of complicated things. Like what if someone's crawling in a duct that's like a one tile area. It's like, how do you see them in the duct? You would need to do like a shader for like seeing through the wall or something. I don't know. I don't want to do that sort of thing if I don't have to. So I think we need to rethink a little bit of our cutaway. All right, so the problem right now... So you could not render the threshold, but it could leave behind a shadow to show where the wall is. Yeah, right now you can see where a wall and a floor is because it switches to the middle hall color. Like, you can tell there's a wall there. The problem is you can't really tell whether it's a wall or a door. And yeah, we could do some semi-transparent stuff, and we might end up doing something like that, like an outline or something, but I also kind of want to maybe have something else that tells you that information. That's fine. We can figure that out later. That's one of those, like, let's not worry about that right now. What I do want to worry about right now is the cursor mapping problem. We can worry about the aesthetic problem of making things look right for that later, but I am really concerned with the input. The implications with the input if we don't do something about this. So the more important thing is, why does the cutaway interior blocks by bounding box not do anything right now? Is it this clamping function? Do we actually need to do this now that we've added safety? Some degree of safety. Can we actually get rid of the clamp? Is that just causing problems? It looks like it. We can go way outside the window and come back in, which means I don't think there's a safety issue anymore. All right, let's see if this works. Yeah, because this way I literally can't select anything behind a wall. Yeah, we need to fix that. That's enough of an issue that we need to not allow for that. Or we specifically need to be able to do that. Whoa. What happened there? Oh, did I get behind the wall? How did that happen? Weird. I like this though. I really like being able to just drop down. Yeah, I like this aesthetic too of like having the walls jut out just a little bit. But it is a problem. Like, that's a challenging way to do this. All right, so we made some interior rooms. We'll give the flood fill a second. Okay, it's not doing anything again. Why not? The exterior one just works just fine. Why is the compartment-based flood fill just not working anymore? It was working earlier, wasn't it? Am I tripping? Has it been not working the whole day? It worked last night, so I may have done something today to break it. Okay. Let's figure it out. cursor coords dot any equals block space maximum return. Sure. Interior for x into x exterior equals minimum dot x. Not interior contains. Interior is room bounds, block rooms, get absolute. I wonder if something's happening in the flood fill. That's really hard to visualize, the flood fill. It would be kind of maybe useful to have like a rendering system that only renders the room, the flood fill block rooms. That'd be a cool mode. That'd be a cool debug draw mode where we can like see just the spaces that are the rooms. That'd be neat. Yeah, this isn't working. Block rooms, try get absolute, cursor coords out in room, and room is greater than 0. I'm gonna remove that cutaway for a moment. This isn't like clearing anything. No, it's not. You know what? I kind of need this to not be a bounding box. I kind of need it to be like a volume that I can, like it needs to be its own bit mask, really. I don't want to do that. That's kind of what it needs to be. It's actually not unreasonable. We might get to that point. Be able to handle oddly shaped rooms. Because I'm thinking after the edit time, when edit mode is over, rooms are like very significant things. They're the way we think about things for rendering. There's probably a lot of gameplay stuff that's just about room, like what's the oxygen in the room. Like we're probably not going to do oxygen per tile. Like we'll probably do it at the room level. I don't know. In which case it would be better to do that. But this should work. This should work. Nothing about this shouldn't work. I'm just gonna make one room. I turned off the other cutaway. So we can see if just the interior cutaway is working. Give it a second for the flood fill to run. Whoa, I thought I turned you off. I guess I didn't turn this off. Yeah, it should be doing something like this, and it is not. It's kind of weird that it's not. Is this also broken because of this safety feature I added? Crazy if that's true. All I'm doing is like a basic containment check. It seems to have messed everything up. Okay, so that's not it. Something else is preventing this from running. It's probably somewhere in the flood fill. I don't know what I changed though. I guess maybe we look at the Git. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Nix, you're so genuinely tired of your mod not working properly. If you didn't know any better, you'd say programming is the 10th circle of hell when you're stuck on the same problem. Yeah. Yeah. When you're stuck on the same problem and you're like not making any progress. Like if I've got a big beefy problem and I'm at least chipping away at it, that's fine. But as soon as like I start losing the thread, like as soon as like I start trying things and nothing happens and I'm not even sure where the error is, and like I feel like it's so easy to get yourself into like a demotivation, like death spiral with programming, because so much about programming has no visual feedback component to it. And that's something I emphasize heavily in my own work, is I'm like, I need some kind of visual feedback or I will just lose it. Which is maybe why part of the reason why I'd waste so much time on tools. All right, what do I think is going on? I think the flood fill is busted. I think something about the flood fill is busted. And I'm not sure what. I guess we do look at the Git. We've been working on this problem since the 4th this month, 24 days, same problem. Yeah, that's really tough. That's really tough. All right, we changed the cursor mapping system. We changed the block cutaway system. Oh. Wait, what? What the absolute? Yeah, this isn't doing anything. I did comment this out. What the heck? Arnio, exactly the same reason. Exactly the reason why you're just listening and listing sound effects while a pack of them is loading for 2 hours instead of doing the actual useful thing of building the system that's going to eventually play them. You're doing it. It's Saturday. Don't be too hard on yourself. All right, so here's an interesting conundrum. The system that is supposed to do this per the exterior cutaway, quote unquote, system, the one that's just like cuts away by coordinate, I turned it off. So when we see something like this, what is doing this? So what happens here? Yeah, what the heck? This is the interior cutaway. What? Like, actually what? That doesn't make any sense. The code that does that is commented out. It's this. This function doesn't run anymore. Okay. This function is the only one that's running, but this function does something totally different. What the heck? How is that even possible? Did I not save the file? No, this file is saved. If I comment this out, we've got some ghost code running. there's a ghost in the machine. Is something happening with Ghost in the Shell, by the way? I saw a headline in a screenshot that made it look like there's some Ghost in the Shell stuff going on. That's a movie I could rewatch. Okay, so now there is no cutaway. That's correct. And now if I turn back on just this version of it. Exterior equals interior room balance, block rooms. Cursor coords. Wait a second. What does cursor coords have to do anything? Room bounds. We index into the room bounds using the block rooms. Dot get absolute. That gets a value for this coordinate. This isn't right. Oh no, this is a buffer 3D read only. This is right. So we tell it what room this is in. We tell it the bounds for this room. We move those. There is something super weird going on here. What a mystery. Man, I'm like baking in here in this room. It is so unseasonably warm for late February. We don't have, almost nobody in San Francisco has an air conditioner. It's not, this isn't the kind of place you need that sort of thing. And occasionally I regret it. Yeah, it's crazy that this is doing a per component cutaway. Like, how is the minimum component for the cutaway the cursor? It should be the room. It should be tied to the room. It's crazy that it's not. How in the world is that happening? Buffer 3D read only, block rooms. Block rooms. Room bounds is a bounding box. Block rooms is the 3D buffer that holds the room ID for each block, which we can get by passing in the cursor coordinates. And then we say, so the interior is a bounding box based on that. I mean, my inclination is to say that room bounds is giving us a bounding box that starts at the cursor coordinate, which is crazy. I don't know how that's possible. This is really annoying. X is exterior.minimum.x. X is less than the block space.maximum.x. Not interior contains. Oh. Well, we don't need to do it this way because we're not trying to do that edge effect anymore. This interior exterior thing is not what we want, but it's not what's causing the error. Gotta look at the flood fill. Something is going very weird here. So block rooms, clear, compartmentalize, the room bounds equals a new buffer read write AABB. So the question is, are the room bounds wrong, or is the block rooms wrong? I know that doesn't sound like a meaningful distinction, but it is. All right, set room bounds, buffer read write, AABB bounds, buffer 3D read only, and buffer try equals 0 is span dot length. Do we need to say span dot length? No. In fact, I feel like a buffer's span should be inaccessible. But I don't want to make that change right now. So for each coordinate in buffer at bound AABB, right? Int room equals buffer dot get coords. Bounds.span room equals bounds.span room resize coords. I wonder if any of these has rules is causing a problem for us. Holes.has coords to continue. So if the room is 0, that's fine. We can handle that. That just tells you the actual overall bounding box of the ship itself, of the space, which is good to know. All right, so I introduced this issue somewhere today. So let's just see. Get or default was replaced with has and not block cuts.has. It shouldn't, none of this mapping stuff should have anything to do with this. It's possible that this, nope. I think we need to clamp per se. I changed a bunch of this stuff. Is there a meaningful change I made though? All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads. Man, we had such good momentum when we started today, and now we are in it. We are in the thick of it here, in the mud. I hate trying to debug the flood filling system. It's not fun. We could probably manage though. Here we can, at the end of this, we can say for each integer room in wait, hold on a second. Bounds.span. Oh no, bounds. Yeah, that's what we're changing. For each room in bounds. No, for each AABB. Does buffer read write AABB bounds not do anything for us? Do you not implement I enumerable? You do not. That's crazy. Unmanaged I enumerable T. Wait, why are you not yelling at me for not actually implementing this? It's kind of weird. Give me a buffer 2D here. Oh man, you don't have an I enumerable either. Do you? Oh, none of you do. Why is that? It's because you're like a span. Does span have an I enumerable? Okay, well maybe I'll think of a different way to go about this then. Let's just say no, I can. Oh, for each I see. Never mind. For int index in bounds. No. For I equals 0. I is less than bounds dot length. I plus plus. Forget it. We'll just do it. We're just debugging this thing anyway. Debug dot right line bounds I. That's all I want to know. All I want to know is what we're actually recording here. Because something is not right. I'll do this in an engine so I can actually read the output. I'm going to make it very small here. 0, 0, 0 to 63, 63, 63. Correct. Actually not correct. That's actually not correct. How are we getting that number? I kind of want to see what the interior cutaway is anyway, even though the exterior is clearly wrong. What's the interior bounds of this space? Why does this number change? Why did we call this 1,000 times? Oh, something is not good. I'm also gonna... We're gonna say debug.writeLine. Okay, something has gone horribly wrong. Okay. We're gonna say... I want to record the I here, too. All right. Let's address the first issue, which is... For each coordinate in buffer AABB, buffer span... Oh, there needs to be something here. We need to actually like buffer dot for each coordinate buffer room equals buffer dot get coords. The room is the buff. So each 3D coordinate is getting assigned a number, which is its compartment, which tells me that the flood fill is definitely wrong and broken in some way. Interesting. All right. Let's double check that. Whatever, we'll do this and then we'll check it. So I think each coordinate is being given its own room somehow. Is I think what's happening. Oh. Oh no, I hit it. I need the give me that debug back. Yeah, so that is almost certainly what's happening here. 3739.1, 3739.1. Yeah, 3639.1, 3639. Yeah, each individual block is being given its own room, quote unquote. That is so busted. I wonder how we made that happen. So that is being controlled here in the compartmentalize. So oh yeah, for one thing, we should be using the get used bounds. I thought I was doing that. Get used bounds. AABB. Bounds default. That's not right. Oh no, that should be fine. So X is the blah blah blah. Field equals span rect get index. If not field dot has any continue. Otherwise, what does has any tell us? Or flags not equal to, yeah, that's fine. Where are we getting that number from though? Block halls. Okay, so here's the part where we do our partitioning. Actually, I think there's a problem with the some of the underlying bounding box stuff, or something when we're building this out, building out the hall data. Something is going crazy. So partition count is 0, while invisit count is greater than 0. Visitor 1. Counts.toList. Halls.has initial. Is this just... No, this isn't. It's saying no. And then here, well, maybe it is. Maybe something is going wrong here. Vector 3i coords, contains coords, and span. Not has. Coords.c. I said this shouldn't cause a problem, but it could in some circumstances. Clearly, we've encountered the some circumstances part. Whenever we do the flood fill inner space, it seems like we're just iterating the partition count and we're just doing one. We're weirdly doing one flood fill per block, which is very weird. If hulls has coords continue. That doesn't seem right. Rooms.set coords room ID for each offset neighbors. If visited contains or halls.contains adjacent continue. If visited or halls.contains. Shouldn't this be not? Like if we visited this already or... Oh. So we're saying we won't flood this way because we can't. Never mind, that's correct, I think. I kind of want to track how what a flood fill looks like. What's the best way to do that? Probably the best thing to do is to put a breakpoint here. We're gonna do a super like minimum. We're gonna do a 4x4 block space. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna do like a minimum reproducible. So it's 1, 2, 3. Just so I don't have to step through quite so much of this. Okay, that's what we want to see. So visited is a read-only span of length 1, 40, 41, 2. Okay, continue. Okay, now we got another one, 39, 41, 2. So it was 40, 41, 2, 39, 41, 2. We'll probably just keep doing this. 40, 42, 39, 42. It should go up to 3 or go down to 1. Yeah, 40, 41, 1. 39, 41, 1. 40, 41. 39, 41. Okay, so we see what's happening, which is each individual block is forming its own room for some reason. Now the question is to figure out why. It almost certainly has something to do with the get used bounds or something else about how the flood fill propagates. Almost certainly. I kind of want to know what this is. So I'm going to do that. All right, get used bounds. How can I tell what the result of that function is? Actually, I guess I needed to go into the function probably if I wanted to find that out. Yeah, I'll just redo that here. If anything, this should get triggered. So I'm just going to place one block. Bounds. 4140, 4140. Okay, so that did work, actually. So we would just forget about it. Okay, so the problem is not there. So the AABB get used bounds actually is correctly reading. It's figuring out like where are the blocks, and okay, that's actually what we're using. So the problem's not there. Let's see how things go here. Make a little grid of some kind. Okay, 3637.0 to 3940.0. Unvisited count to 16. That's fair because I made a 4x4. 4x4x1. Flood fill, outer space. Bounds is that. Visited is this whole thing. Yeah, so it goes below. And it goes above. We flood fill all around. For each of these. So unvisited is this list of 16. Okay. We get rid of all of these. So we actually don't find this. So like 35, 36 minus 1 we don't find. But the zeros, these are all in here, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, so the outer flood fill seems fine. It's the inner. Something about the inner flood fill is broken. The inner flood fill is like for each room, do a flood. So what's different about this language? Ah, here we say visited contains or not fill contains. Continue, right? Okay. And then down here, we do something similar. Let's put something here. All right, we're gonna do another little minimum viable, or little minimum reproducible thing here. A little 2x2x2 room. See how the flood fill system treats those sections. All right. Initial 43, 44, 2. Visited, count 1. Yeah, so far that's good. Well, stack.count is greater than 0. Stack count is 1. So we're going to go through this. And now stack count is 0. Okay. That seems like that was inside. So when we say this, we say if halls.has cowards continue. I want to see that one more time, actually. I realized there was more info there that I could have gathered. I did not. Debugging is such a boring thing to do most of the time. But it is relatively easy, at least. So we go through this. Actually, I kind of wanted to step in, not step over, huh? Let me see if I can figure this out. Well, this is weird. The fact that we get this back. This 0, 0, 0 to 63, 63, 63. That's not what we should be getting back, for one thing. And that tells me oh, you know what? We should actually say buffer.aabb.getUsedBounds. That's what we should say. Oh, do you not actually have one of those? Do you have a buffer.getUsedBounds? Okay. We need to actually implement something like this. How are we going to do that, though? In a generic way. Maybe any T that... How did we get it to... How does this work up here? Which buffer are we actually using for this? Block halls. Oh, so we just use the halls. Oh, because that's a bitmask 3D. Yeah, let's do that. Why won't that work? Let's do some stuff. Let's change this to say this is a room bounds buffer. This is a block rooms buffer, and then what I also want to do is I want a AABB block bounds. That's what I want. Okay. Well, this should, instead of getting the full block space back, we should get just, okay, that's good. That fixes that one thing. Feels very silly to make this small. Little test area. That's stupid. Okay, well, we know it doesn't work, so that's important. Yeah, so it's giving us every single block is getting its own coordinate. So there's some kind of misfire, which is very clear. I think we're close. I think we're close to figuring this out. I don't know what I did to break this. It's something to do with the bit mask, with the hull bit mask. I feel somehow. Because it's like misunderstanding. It's like freaking out. somehow. Well, hulls has initial. Yeah, we should just be cycling through initial coordinates till we find one. And then what we need to do, so we do this flood fill, inner space, hulls, initial partition count. Yeah, there's something to do with this, with the hulls.has. Contains and span direct.getIndex coords.xy dot has coords.z. I guess the simple check to see if this is the problem is to, once again, just implement the unsafe version of this and then see if it behaves correctly. And then we at least know we're in the right spot. We're looking for the problem in the right spot. Alright, I'm not actually convinced that this is what's going wrong. This is just one of the only things I changed today. What does the debugger say? Alright, calm down. Hit me with the... Let me see my... I don't actually want to see this. I want to see my console. Okay, so that didn't fix it. There's still like a million rooms. Each individual block is being given its own quote-unquote compartment. So there's some kind of propagation where we're not letting it breathe. We're not letting it like travel around. And it's not the safe version of this get that's causing the problem, which is interesting. That's not the problem. We're not getting a false positive from that. Something else is happening. Hope everyone's chilling today. If you're working on your own games, I hope it's going well. Okay, so it's not that. So we're dialing it in here. Somehow when we flood fill the inner space, we have this problem. So we push this initial stack. I guess I should just try to go through this, huh? Let's figure out what's going on here. So we're going to make another like very simple test. It's going to be the 4x4x4. And then we're just going to walk through the function just to figure out where it's going astray here. Here we go. Let's go. Initial 41, 42, 2. Kind of want to go up 1. Here we go. Unvisited. Count is 8. Partition count is 1. Unvisited count of 8 is correct because it's 2 by 2 by 2, right? Yeah, that's 8. So there's an interior hollow space that's 2 by 2 by 2. What we're currently doing is we're flood filling that inner space starting with 41, 42, 2. And so can we step into this? Oh no, I don't want to step into that. I don't know how to do this. Maybe what we do is we put the breakpoint on this, and then we can at least see everything that happened here. Come on. All right, visited count is 1. Fascinating. Room ID 1. Okay, let me see this Hulls bit mask. It's enormous. It's like the whole thing. Let me look at this span. These are mostly empty, which is good because that's kind of what I was expecting. Yeah, this is an enormous span that's 64 by 64 by 64. This is a much... Oh, that's also an enormous span. Is it also mostly zeros? Yeah, mostly 0. As it should be. All right, so neighbors. This is our little neighborly... These are all of our neighbors. Neighbor coordinates. Got our initial. We got our visited. This is what we start with. We start with a list of this. The stack is empty. We push the initial onto the stack. While the stack is greater than 0, we do this whole thing. So we already did this whole thing, and we're heading back here. So we dumped straight out because the stack count is 0. And the visited list is still just one thing. That is not good. So yeah, what I think is happening... Coords equals stack.pop. We go through all of the neighbors. It's better not say... Oh, I guess it could say continue. Stack.push adjacent, visited.push adjacent. Oh, does visited need to get incremented? No, because this should have found at least 3 open coordinates that it could visit. And it seems to have found none. Because it has at least 3 open blocks adjacent to it and didn't find any of them. Which is concerning. Adjacent is coordinate. What's that? projectile. We're gonna dig into this a little more. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna hold on to this here. We'll find the bug and squash it. Because if I don't, this is gonna bother me the whole weekend, and I won't be able to relax. Probably means we'll need at least another day to finalize the, all right, visited contains. So your adjacent is, your offset is 1, okay. Adjacent is 42, 42, 2. Coords is 41, 42, 2. Offset is 1. Adjacent, visited. So it's not in visited. Is it in hulls? Yes, it is, because we continue. So hulls contains 42, 42, 2. Fine, sure. I believe that. Resume. Okay. Hulls also consume. It also seems to contain hulls. Oh, hulls. Oh my god. Hulls.contains. Hulls.contains is just like, is this coordinate in the bounding box of that buffer? We want hulls.has, which is a subtle but important difference. God damn it. Okay. It was staring at me in the face this whole time. I've even said the words constantly. Because here this is called fills.contain. That's because fill is a bounding box. But hulls is not a bounding box. Hulls is a buffer. Oh my god. So this should be hulls.has adjacent. Watch it just totally work now. I need to turn some of these debugs off or I'm going to lose my mind. Actually, I'm going to leave them on so we can confirm that it works. We're just going to make a random room. Appreciate it, Arneo. Okay. We did it. How many rooms do we have? 1 room. 35, 35, 1 to 43, 42, 5. Okay. And what happens when I try to cut it away? Hey. All right. We did it. We fixed the bug that we introduced. Cutaway still works, but not when you reach the edge. You know what? I wonder if I could fix this a different way by fixing the depth of the raycast. Because right now our problem is that like we can mouse around in here and it's fine. But if I get too close to the edge, it's not fine. Let's do a couple things here. All right, fix that. Great. Moving on here. Moving on to the thing we actually wanted to work on. Which is the cutaway. Which is rethinking the interior cutaway to not leave any walls or thresholds. Except for the exterior quote-unquote cutaway. This will remain like this, I think. And then this will be like this. So interior, room bounds, block rooms dot get absolute. Exterior is interior.move, vector3i.1. We don't actually want this distinction anymore. Should I just call this a room? No, we already have our room bounds. Just call it bounds for now. I don't love that, but This is kind of a waste to do it this way. Is there a better way to do this? It would probably be better to just... Instead of doing it like this, it's probably better to just say for vector 3i block coords in bounds, no, in, what is this? It's like block space, block dot space dot get non-overlapping bounds. For each, we don't even need that check. We can just say this. We don't even need to do that. We can just say this. All right, this is simpler. Do this for now. See if this is kind of what we want. All right, we'll make a bigger multi-room little space to test this. So I want to test the difference between the exterior and interior cutaways. I don't even think I turned on the exterior cutaway. I'll probably have to turn that back on before we can test that. So I don't know why I'm wasting my time doing that. I'm going to turn that back on. Oh, the cutaway system is also turned off. That's not great. Or no, specifically the exterior cutaway is turned off. That's not good. Turn that back on. Okay, now we'll test this. Like a fairly large room. Okay, I'm okay with this not really working for the exterior cutaway. Because the exterior cutaway is like kind of a unique thing. Like the exterior cutaway is a backup, but it's mostly for use. Like this is all great. And then if I actually seal this up and make this a series of rooms. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What the F was that? Why are we cutting away everything? Okay. You know what? I think I understand what happened. I actually want to do something else here. Bounds is room bounds, yes. For each coordinate in block space, get non-overlapping with bounds. That's not exactly what I want, huh? I almost want to make a new AABB. In a new AABB, and it's going to take bounds.minimum and block.space.maximum. Try that. All right, now let's see what happens. Hey. I mean, this is cleaner for sure. Just fully cutting away the floor and the wall. I think it's a little crazy, but it's definitely cleaner. And it solves some of that problem. Well, it doesn't solve everything because it looks like we're cutting away. We have to say something else. That's not sufficient information. We need to say if not bounds dot contains block boards, then cut it. You need a little bit more info there. All right, it looks like all the bound stuff is totally correct. I'm gonna get rid of this debugger. Holes dot contains. God, I'm so dumb. I've got stuck on that for like an hour. That's why reading and comprehension are two different things. One can read a word and not comprehend the meaning. All right, so to build up to the edge of the wall right now, I'm having to hold the control because otherwise it's going to jump. The cursor thing will jump. So closing this last little gap is a little annoying, but it might be the lesser evil. It might actually be fine. I'm going to try it the other way in a minute. I'll make a multi-level little room here. Like another set of multi-level little rooms here. We'll see what the cutaway looks like for these. All right, so I can see the cursor, which is important. And if we have, you know, like columns or details or something like that, those remain. So if I add like a column to this room and I go back in here, the column remains even if we cut away the whole room, unless I go behind the column. So that's good. Yeah, I really need to, I think the thing we're going to fix next time is this cursor offset thing. I need to get rid of this like hacky solution here. We also need to fix this wall thing where like if the cursor's in the wall, it doesn't know what to do. I think this is fine actually, now that I think about it. This like the full cutaway. I might do things like add an outline in between door pieces so you can like tell that there's a door there using an outline or some special texture or something. I think this is a little harsh. Like, I think this looks worse than the other one aesthetically, but I think it's maybe better from like a usability standpoint because it's not hiding anything. And there's cases where this would be really annoying otherwise. Like imagine this. Imagine this specific case. Imagine if we've got just like a little like a vent, like a ventilation thing. Right? Like if it's just this, it's actually kind of hard to finish now. I made this really difficult for myself for some reason. So here, we can actually cut into this and see it. If we didn't do that, this would be impossible to see into. And I actually kind of want little vents. I actually think the ships will be really neat if they've got little vents that one can crawl through. And you need to be able to see into those. And I don't want to add a million edge cases where it's like, oh, don't fully cut away unless we can detect it's some certain circumstance, in which case then do cut away all the way. Like, I want it to just be a good experience at all times, you know? Maximizing, I think it makes sense to err on the side of maximizing what the player can see. I'm gonna turn this off. This is dead. Yeah, I think it makes sense in a real-time game. I think it makes sense to err on the side of like usability. To like maximize the amount of information the player can see on screen at a time. We can do other things to like make it quote unquote look better. You concur this is better. It doesn't look bad either. Yeah, it doesn't look quite as 3D. And actually there's one more change I want to make. I'd love to see how grates look in the game. I've drawn grates. I have grates. I've been mocking up. I'm like not ready to show this. But I've been in some of my free time here. Let me see if I can find this. It isn't ready to be seen, but in a little bit I've been mocking up layouts for Lo-Fi Flyby. And part of that is like a grate setup, like ladders and grates. And this is what I've got so far for the grates. The auto tiler will probably get rid of some of these spans, but I don't know. But this is my early attempt at like a floor grate. Yeah, you best believe we got grates. It looks cool. Yeah, I think this is neat. I think I'm okay with this, with the ladder grate look. Because yeah, I've been working on like mocking up a little like cargo hold, like a Serenity style cargo hold. And so I've been kind of working on that. Where's the rest of it? Oh yeah, up there. Actually, I don't know where the rest... Did I delete the rest of this? I thought I had worked on the bridge a little more, but I guess I was only working on the cargo bay. But yeah, this is what I mean by saying like... So this is the old cutaway, right? Like you can see the threshold block, which we're not going to do. We're not going to do a threshold block anymore. But I am thinking about maybe hard coding the cutaway sometimes, maybe. Like, how do I... Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm working on a little cargo ship. I don't know if I like this like double walled, like this extra area like at the back. There's probably going to be, it's probably going to be like this sketch, like a cargo hold in the back and then up in the front, like the living quarters and the bridge and everything. I still need to work on this. I don't work on it very much. I've only been working on it while I watch Firefly, which is rare. But I should do it. That looks great. Oh my God, Nix. I like that you said sorry before you made that joke. Too funny. But yeah, I think that grate system will be all right. But yeah, I want to change. I want to make one more. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. All right, we want to make one change to this cutaway, the exterior cutaway. We are going to say, we're going to start here. So instead of doing all this +1 stuff, we're going to just start it at the coordinates. But we need to have a if coords is equal to cursor coords. Continue. I'm going to rename this block coords. Rename this block cuts. Block holes. I can't believe it. I can't believe I spent an hour on block hulls.contains on doing a containment check. It's one of those things where it's like, if you ask a bit field or bit mask, if it contains something, it's like, that's ambiguous and confusing. It makes sense because the bit mask has a bounding box. It has like a volume or an area associated with it. And I'm asking if it's just within bounds, but maybe I should say if hulls dot, I don't know, contain seems right. It's one of those convention things that I just totally brain farted over. All right, so this should remove the extreme cutaway here. Or actually, this should be a more extreme cutaway for the exterior cutaway. So if I have, oh boy. Yeah, this is why I don't want to do this. That was crazy. All right, maybe I can't do that. All right. It's like I removed the safety from the exterior cutaway, and now it's causing all sorts of wild shit to happen. Yeah, I don't like this. We're gonna need to come up with something different. Or we'll just have to accept that the exterior cutaway is a different thing. So now now I can get right up to the edge, which is what I want. That was weird. Oh, that's neat. So I can do this, and then I can immediately fall into here. See, this is what I want. This is basically what I want, how I want it to work. It just acts weird in edit mode. Maybe that's an edit mode problem and we're not actually that concerned with it. I don't know. So if we finish this, I think the cursor mapping thing needs to do a little bit more in terms of, or the cutaway system needs to be a little bit more aware in terms of the offset, maybe is maybe the problem we're running into. That's kind of neat. So what if I put something in the middle of the room here? Oh, we're not. What if it's like this? Oh, we're heading into ads. Hold on. I snooze those. Okay, now if we go back to cut this away, why can't I do that? Why have I lost the ability to control my Z level? Okay, now it's back for some reason. Oh no, it's not back. Oh, now it's back. Okay, I don't know. That was weird. Yeah. Man. You know, is it maybe just the vertical part that's the problem? Is that the part that's like really awkward? I don't know. I don't think I'm totally happy with the exterior cutaway, the like per coordinate cutaway, but the room based, I think I can live with this. until we start doing like weird multi-room or weirdly shaped rooms or something. I'm sure I'll have to revisit this, but I don't want to do that right now. I don't know if I like this. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to the other one. The one that adds a little margin, a little safety margin. That's a lot better for the exterior. All right, but I think that's it for this week here. I think we're in a good spot. We're definitely in a much better spot we were than when the week started, even though we started the week on Wednesday. I think we're looking all right. So yeah, it's not doing this crazy twitchy thing anymore with the cutaways while I'm building like this now that I've added the safety margin. Like it'll still do the cutaway, but it'll leave a threshold, and I think in this context, I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with it in this context because this is in the edit mode context, and if people need to be like, how do you fix this or whatever, I don't know. Maybe we could fix it with maybe we could fix it another way. By thinking a little more carefully about some of the cursor coordinate stuff. Because I don't really want to have a different cutaway model than we do for the other system. I don't really. But I also don't know if I super care. It's one of these things where I'm like, I'm starting to think more seriously about like, or think a little more shrewdly about like, oh, it'd be nice if this tool worked this way. And it's like, but the tool is just for me right now. Like, think about other users later, like at least in terms of the tooling. Like a lot of this is a fundamental visual thing. Like this stuff, this is like fundamentally how you like look into the ship. So this is like very much worth considering. But I think I'm overthinking some of the usability stuff when it comes to like mod support or whatever. Maybe this doesn't work either. Kind of weird how these two cutaways interact with each other. I'm gonna remove the margin again, and we'll figure out how to make that less unpleasant. I think there's ways to make that better for us. All right, but yeah, this was good. This was a good day. This was a great stream. I know we got kind of stuck in the last third there, but we got through it. We got what we wanted to do. We got it done. And now I think it's time to, you know, ship it to the weekend here. Give it up for the weekend, and turn the brain off until work week starts again. Take what little time we do get to actually decompress and unwind. Yeah, I don't have anything more inspiring to say about that. Just an important thing to do. Take it easy. Decompress. What's that? Yeah, exactly. Next. Sometimes you gotta turn your brain off. And I'm prepared to go do just that. But we'll be back on Tuesday. Friday is the beginning of a week-long weekend 72-hour game jam. Down to Jam. March 6th through 9th. 5 days and 17 hours. Be scared. I know I am. Look at us. We're on the thing. They're featuring us. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? Because I'm probably the one person who's streaming Godot right now. Oh no, is that Covino? Thanks for the stream. Looking forward to the jam. The jam is going to be crazy. I have no idea what's going to happen. I should probably prepare. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah. I guess all that's left to say is thank you all so much. Your support means a lot. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. A great stream, Nix. Grate. Oh, it never ends. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Maximum warp.